And hello, hockey fans! Welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Gonna be flying solo with you tonight here for the next 58 minutes or so as we break down everything happening across the wide, wonderful world of hockey. Ton of games in action tonight. We're going to keep an eye on those. Jack Eichel making moves, revisiting those trades, things like that. We've also got lots of off-ice stuff that we need to be taking a look at tonight. Some craziness happening in Boston within the last week. And then the Ottawa Senators being up for sale. Anybody want to buy a hockey team? You've got to keep them in Ottawa. That's about the only stipulation so far. And, of course, we will have studs and duds. All that, plus we'll see what other fun and silliness we can have along the way. This is the Neutral Zone. Lace them on up. Let's go. And once again, hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am Adam Karnick, your host. Zach Puplis has got the night off tonight. He's taking care of some family business, so all is well. He will be back next week. All's well. This is planned. Nothing out of the ordinary. So all's well with Zach, but he needed some time tonight, so we're going to be flying solo with you tonight. Just me here with you. Going to be keeping an eye. There's 9 NHL games going on as we speak, so we'll keep an eye on those for you. The battle for New York going on between the Islanders and the Rangers. We've got the Coyotes and the Sabres going on, keeping an eye on the Golden Knights and the Toronto Maple Leafs, if for no other reason than Cale Henderson's going to be coming up right after us with Sin City Sports, and he'll be breaking down that Golden Knights game. He's got a chance to actually break down the game because it'll be over by the time his show is on. So we've got that there, plus all kinds of other stuff there to keep an eye on with those 9 games in action tonight, plus 2 more yet to tip. That'll be tipping off right as the show ends or shortly thereafter. And we've got lots of news to be breaking down tonight as well in Boston and in Ottawa. And, of course, we'll be doing studs and duds this week. We've got a few selections, so we'll be getting into that. But without any further ado, of course, we do need to take care of our homework before getting the show proper underway. And that includes then telling you a little bit about IE Sports Radio. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities and sports around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans for the fans. And with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you a shout out on every single one of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And I do want to acknowledge our Patreon supporters now, Bay Area Raised, MLOS Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you very much for your continued support of IE Sports Radio. It really is appreciated. Ways you can interact with the station. We are available on all the major social platforms, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just search IE Sports Radio. We are there for you. And, of course, go to our website, iesportsradio.com. This show is also available for you on Twitter. We are at IESR Neutral Zone. You can follow along there. I try to put out the scores of the night every night, as well as, whatever silliness or fun things pop around in the hockey world from time to time. Or you can also follow myself personally on Twitter. I am at Adam_Karnick. Whereas Zach, if you want to follow along with him, he is at The Pupless. And without any further ado, welcome on into the show. If you are listening live tonight here on Spreaker, you can hop on into the chat room. Taryn Rodriguez is in there. Hello, Taryn. How was your trip, man? Taryn, if I'm understanding it correctly, Taryn just got back from a cruise. I know he was away from the station, and he was telling us all about being on a boat. So I'm hoping it was a cruise ship and not a rowboat for a week, because that would be awful. Not that a cruise would necessarily be all that much better, but I digress. Good to have you back, Taryn. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. And yeah, I missed the 50th episode last week. We were having a night at the house, and 4-year-olds, sometimes they're just 4-year-olds. And my wonderful wife, who's also 5 months pregnant, just needed help. And so it was, all right, Zach, you've got the show tonight. I've got to attend to the family. So yeah, I missed the 50th episode, but I am here now. Speaking of Cale Henderson, good evening, Cale. I was just mentioning how you're gonna get to actually break down a Golden Knights game after your show. That's a rarity for you. They're playing out in Toronto tonight, so they get to wrap up possibly even before I'm done tonight, certainly while you're in your show. So good evening, Cale. Good to see Cale and Taryn in there. And if you're listening live, please hop on into the chat room. We can interact, have some fun that way. At the same time, if you're listening live later on as a podcast, whether it be Spreaker.com, or if you're listening on any of the other ways, iHeartRadio or Spotify or any of the other ways, or you just like to sit back and listen, thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I am here for you in whatever makes most sense for you. And Taryn was indeed on a cruise. So, good. I'm glad you had a good time, Taryn. Oh, excellent. Got to see some good performances. Good time. Good. I'm glad you had a good time, Taryn. I know you got to do set point today as opposed to yesterday. So good on you. Good for you, man. All right. So, as we often do, we will start off with some of the games going on tonight. Some quick score updates from across the NHL. We've got right now, end of the second period, the Coyotes are on top of the Sabres 2-1. Canadians on top of the Red Wings 2-1 with 10 minutes to go in the game. The Rangers are winning the battle for New York right now 3-2 over the Islanders. That's very early in the third period. The Devils continue to just stay good. They're up on the Flames 2-1 right now early on in the third. Canucks, they're handling the Senators. We're going to be talking about the Senators a little bit later on in the show tonight. Their fellow countrymen, the Canucks, are doubling them up 4-2 right now. Just under 11 minutes to go in that game. The Flyers, they're up 3-1 on the Blues. The Maple Leafs are up 3-2 on the Golden Knights. 12 minutes to go in the third, and that one plenty of time left. And then the big game of the night over on TNT right now, the Edmonton Oilers up 3-1 on the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is late in the second period, so still plenty of time for stuff to go on there. And then lastly, the other game active right now, the Stars and Jets are tied at 1 apiece. That's very early in the second period up in Winnipeg. So that game's got quite a ways to go. One team that is not in action on that list, but I want to start off talking about them, is the Boston Bruins, because they made some very interesting news across the hockey world here within the last week. Last Friday, they signed a 20-year-old defensive prospect to their AHL affiliate, Providence. 2 days later, they cut him. So why was Mitchell Miller so quickly cut after signing a deal? Well, the simple version of it is that Miller is a complicated, not very good dude. He was originally a draft pick of the Arizona Coyotes a couple years ago. If the name is ringing bells for you, well, he was a draft pick of the Coyotes. However, very shortly after they drafted him, the Coyotes relinquished their rights to him because a story came out about how Miller, who right now he's only 20, at the time that he was drafted, he was 18. A couple years earlier than that, when he was 14, he was convicted in juvenile court of assaulting and bullying a classmate with developmental disabilities. And apparently this abuse, according at least to the victim's mother, the student that was bullied and abused, his name is Isaiah Meyer Crothers. Isaiah's mother alleged that this was habitual. Miller had started abusing Isaiah as early as second grade. So the Coyotes relinquished their rights to him. They moved on from him. The Bruins then last week informed the NHL that they were interested. They signed him to a deal on Friday, and immediately the hockey world sprang on it. You had players getting involved. You had fans, of course, getting involved. You eventually had Gary Bettman himself getting involved. Bettman saying basically that he doesn't know that Miller would ever be eligible to actually play in the NHL. That he's not currently eligible to play in the NHL, and he doesn't know if he'd ever be eligible to play in the NHL. I don't know why the Bruins decided to sign this kid, but it was clearly a mistake. It was a gigantic mistake. And good on them for, after the fact, realizing it and getting rid of the kid. Yeah, clearly it was a result of pressure from the outside. Clearly, it would have been nice had they not signed him in the first place, but at least they recognized them. They did the minimal amount possible. It does make an interesting financial situation for them, though. as Greg Wisniewski is talking about on ESPN, Miller is still technically on Providence's roster. He remains under contract with the team, even though they've cut ties with him. He will not participate. He's not there, but he still technically is on the roster. He's still technically on the books. So they've got a few ways that they could work on this. None of them are great options. The best option would have been to have not signed this kid in the first place, to have recognized this is a horrible deal. We should not do this. And the deal that he signed, I mean, this is not a small deal. You're talking a $750,000 salary with a $95,000 signing bonus. And then there's another $100,000 in performance bonuses. I mean, you're talking about $1 million contract here. Ugh. Oy, 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 oy. So some options that Wisniewski points out. The Bruins could just pay him to stay home, and then once the season comes to a close, they could buy him out. That would for a third of his salary. So for you pay him for this season, and then you throw $333,000 at him, and you wash your hands of it. They could work with his agent on some kind of a settlement that would make the contract null and void and then allow him to become a free agent. That gets the union involved. And that gets into a whole other can of worms that even just as I'm saying it out loud, I'm realizing what that gets into. The union, they would put the union in a really interesting spot, kind of like what the NBA Players Association. Taryn, keep track. You're back in town now. Even though it's just me solo, you still have to keep track for me. We're still going to go on tangents here. This is still the neutral zone. We can't go that off brand. This is kind of like what the NBA Players Association is going through right now, a little bit with Kyrie Irving. With the NBA Players Association is getting involved in actually defending Kyrie over some horrible things that he's been saying and doing lately. This is kind of a similar situation. It would be interesting to see how the NHL Players Union would handle this, how they would represent Miller, especially since you had some players coming out and speaking against the Bruins signing this kid in the first place. It'd be interesting to see if the Bruins were to go that route, how the NHLPA would handle it. They could just flat out seek to terminate the contract. Looking at the collective bargaining agreement, Commissioner Bettman does have the power to just simply expel a player. It would be expected, though, and again, this is Wisniewski reporting, that the Players Association would probably file a grievance if they tried to do that. Interesting that they would choose to defend this kid in that way. Interesting that they would choose to defend him like this is clearly a kid that nobody wants in the NHL. It's kind of the principle of the thing, I guess, would be the union's standpoint. But it's interesting. Again, getting with the NBA comparison there, it's interesting that the hills that they're choosing to die on, we'll put it that way, are some interesting choices. And if I were the players union, I mean, you got to talk in-house, you got to talk internally about it, but you got a potential PR issue there if you defend the kid too much. You got to decide, is it, what's the right thing to do here, and go with it. And if you decide, hey, yeah, this is somebody that we need to defend, all right, be prepared for whatever just be prepared to face whatever the consequences of whatever actions you choose to take. If you're the NHLPA and the Boston Bruins, so tread lightly on that one. An interesting situation there in Boston. But, of course, the simplest and easiest would have been just don't sign the kid in the first place. The Bruins should never have signed him in the first place. As they sit here, in the early part of the season and in first place by 6 points in the Atlantic Division. And clearly, it wasn't a move made for now. It was a move made for the future. But still, you got to read the room better, Boston. Read the room. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, have you ever wanted to own an NHL team? There's one for sale. There's an opportunity out there. We will discuss that next. You are listening to The Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You got to check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone, everyone. I'm your host, Adam Karnick, flying solo tonight. Zach Puplis has the night off. So we spent the first portion of the show diving through the Boston Bruins and their mess with signing the young defenseman that they then released a couple days later. Let's transition out of that, shall we? Let's talk about something a little, while still serious, a little bit more fun, shall we? The Ottawa Senators are they're off to a season. The season has officially begun. They might want to consider playing hockey a little bit better. Claude Giroux signed a big 3-year deal in the offseason to come home. It hasn't made a ton of difference as the poor Senators sit just 4-7-0, 11 games into the season and are in last place in the Atlantic Division. And they currently are losing tonight with a minute to go against Vancouver. They are down 6-4 with under a minute to go. I'm talking about another Canadian team just not having a good season. The battle for the bottom there in Ottawa tonight. Vancouver pulling ahead, if you will, 6-4, trying to pull that one out and stay ahead. While the Senators, if you've ever been interested in owning an NHL team, now is your opportunity because the Ottawa Senators are for sale. You might remember that the man who purchased the team back in 2003, Eugene Melnyk, he passed away this spring at the age of 62, and ownership of the team then transferred down to his daughters. Well, his daughters are a little on the young side and have decided that they don't want to be running a team. Anna is the elder of the two. She's 23. Her younger sister, Olivia, is 20. And they've decided, you know what? We'd be better off putting the team up for sale. So now is your opportunity. There is a stipulation. You've got to keep them in Ottawa. You cannot move them out of Ottawa. We're not doing an Atlanta Thrashers situation here. You've got to keep them in town. There are some people, Forbes is reporting, there's already some hockey names in consideration. Andre Demaris, of a Montreal-based management and holding company is somebody that's interested. You've got some other Canadian business people interested. Michael and Jeffrey Kimmel of Harlow Capital. They're in Toronto. One of the Montreal Canadiens' minority owners, Michael Andlauer, is interested. And then also the Ontario Hockey League's Oshawa Generals owner, Rocco Tullio, is listed as potential buyers. The most fun name on the list, without question, though, Deadpool himself wants to buy the Ottawa Senators. Ryan Reynolds, he owns a soccer team, AFC Wrexham. I hope I said that right. Wrexham. Damn near killed him. Sorry, I had to. The actor is reportedly interested in buying the team. Reynolds, he's Canadian. He loves sports. He's Canadian. He would be fun to have out there as an owner. If for nothing else, just the fan interaction alone would make it fun. Forbes is reporting, understandably, he would almost certainly have to be part of a group, as while he's a wildly successful actor, he doesn't have the cash on hand to just buy them. Forbes is reporting that the Senators are valued. Now, this is in U.S. dollars. I'm not going to try and do the Canadian conversion for you. yeah, Kale. That's what I heard too when I read that. You know, AFC Wrexham. Damn near killed him. Sorry, I've made it twice now. I need to stop. The Senators right now would be valued at $525 million. That's what that's what Forbes valued them at just about a year ago. Well, you know, they're probably going to sell for more than that. They're probably going to bring in a little bit more dough. Not a bad turnaround for the girls. Not a bad investment by their father. Considering that when he purchased the Senators back in 2003, they were $300 million in debt, and he was able to purchase the team for just $100 million. So, you know, minimum of 6 times return on your money. That's not bad at all. It's not NFL money by any means, but you know, it's a good return on your investment there. The Senators are part of what will almost certainly hinge on a sale is the ability to get the team into a new stadium. They've been trying to do that, very similar to the Coyotes. Just like, you know, unlike the Coyotes, who are playing in a college rink right now, the Senators have continued to play in their current rink, Canadian Tire Center, but they are trying to get closer to downtown Ottawa. They're trying to get into a little bit better of a stadium situation there than what they currently have. And certainly if you're going to be buying the team, that's going to be something you're going to have to figure out. There's the possibility, Forbes has talked about, there's the possibility that they could be moving onto a piece of land owned by the government that could be turned into a stadium that's much closer to downtown. You're talking maybe 10 or 20 minutes outside of downtown, as opposed to right now where they're way out there, way on the outskirts there. But the government-owned property is LeBreton Flats. However, that's still early in the discussions at this point, so having that shorn up would certainly make it easier to sell the team. Otherwise, that becomes priority number one for the new owners is, hey, you got to figure out where you're going to be playing games. You know, where are you going to be sitting so that you can get fans in here. Kale, meanwhile, is just going nuts in the chat. The Golden Knights pulled this. Oh, they pulled it off in Toronto. They were down 3-2 in the third when we started the show. In overtime, the Golden Knights with the winner, Riley Smith, the overtime winner. That puts the Golden Knights at 8 straight victories. And indeed, Kale, an excellent start to the season for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now 12-2 and 0 on the year, 24 points for the Golden Knights. So Kale having some fun in the chat room celebrating. Sin City Sports coming up right after us here on Neutral Zone tonight. Kale, I'm sure, is going to be having some fun breaking that one down. We'll get into that a little bit as we wrap up with the Ottawa Senators story a little bit. It's the Senators. Unfortunately, they lost. Losing to Vancouver. That's... And giving up 4 goals in the... What happened to the defense in that game? As I'm looking at the box score for Vancouver, Ottawa, it was 2-2 going into the third. The final score was 6-4. 6 goals combined for the two teams. Ekman Larsman. Giroux did get a goal for the Senators. The local boy did good, you know. He did get a goal. It didn't matter. That made it 5-4, but it didn't matter. My goodness, what happened to the just no defense at all. Stutzel with a good night for the Senators. A goal and an assist. DeBrincat with a nice night too. Looked like a couple of assists for Ottawa, but the Senators. So they're for sale. They're for sale. So if you suddenly got, all it takes is $600 million lying around in change. 600 American, by the way. If it's 600 million Canadian, you don't have enough. You've got to get that conversion rate working in your favor if you want to do that. F the Raiders. Oh wait, wrong show. Yeah, that's yep. That would have been last night. We could have gotten into that rant a little bit last night. If you wanted, I would have joined you on that. Except I was over the moon last night. Again, that different show. But yeah, getting into the football, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, F the Raiders. Wait a minute, wrong show. Not saying that about your Golden Knights though. They are killing it. As we take a peek around, we got a couple other games. We got Canadians and the Wings have made it into overtime as well. Some other games wrapping up. The Devils going to be winning again. Oh my gosh. Next week when Zach is back, we will have to discuss what the heck is going on in New Jersey. The New Jersey Devils were not supposed to be this. And now here they are. Here they are about to win yet again and get to 10-3-0 on the year and beating Calgary. Up is down, down is up, left is right. Signs of the apocalypse. Cats and dogs living together in harmony. I don't remember the rest of the Ghostbusters quote. I'm sorry. I hope I did enough that you got the gist of it. But yeah, the Devils are about to be 10-3. What? And the Flames are going to be 5-2 after this. What the heck? What the heck is going on here? You can't script some of these. You just can't script some of these scores. Couple finals. The Canucks, of course, as we mentioned, Canucks beat the Senators 6-4. The Flyers just destroyed St. Louis 5-1. Holy. Taking a look in the box score. Did we have? Yes, we had 5 different goal scorers for the Flyers while we were at it. Tippett with a couple of points, a goal and an assist. Anybody else with multiple points here? As I'm taking a quick peek through the box score, 5-1 Philadelphia. My goodness. My goodness, what a beat down there for the Flyers. They get the win there. So 3 games final. The Devils are, with this win, the Devils are going to be 10, assuming they hang on. Now they're at a stoppage. Now they're back in it. Calgary trying desperately to get something going on here. But yeah, if the Devils do indeed hang on, they're 10-3. They're 10-3-0. They'd be right there too. So 3 finals right now. We've got another game. The Canadiens and the Wings. Overtime is about to wrap up. They are 20 seconds left in overtime there. So that game might be headed to a shootout. Then again, the Red Wings just went on the power play, so we'll see how those go. But we will take a quick break. We'll see how some of these games finish up, and then studs and duds. I've got a few of those for everybody tonight. You are listening to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Some say that Indiana is just a flyover state. Flatlands and cornfields, barns and country roads. What if I told you Indiana is the crossroads of America? What if I told you in all other states, basketball is just basketball? In Indiana, basketball is life. Crowded high school basketball gyms on a Friday night, and every barn with a basketball rim and a frayed, worn-out net. If you're interested in the heartbeat of America, and if you're interested in sports, if you have Hoosier running through your veins, the Crossroads Pod with Aaron X is made for you. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Each and every week, the Crossroad Pod covers all of Indiana sports. The pride of the horseshoe of the Indianapolis Colts. The blue-collar gold swagger of the Indiana Pacers. The relentless pursuit of the sixth banner for the Indiana Hoosiers. The swing of the hammer of the Purdue Boilermakers. The swoop of the Cardinals of Ball State. The summoning of the echoes of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The growl of the Bulldogs of Butler. The intensity of an Indiana fever. The chop of the Indianapolis Indians. At the Crossroads Pod, if it is Indiana, we've got you covered. More than cornfields. More than country back roads. The Crossroads of America. Join me, Aaron X, every week. It's nothing but net.
IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always willing to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the neutral zone, everybody. And of course, when we are done here tonight, Cale Henderson is coming up right after us with Sin City. Be sure to stick around. He does an awesome job. I'm sure he's got all kinds of Raiders stuff teed up to just go off and go full blast. But maybe he'll have some fun talking about the Golden Knights as they won in overtime tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-3. So maybe he'll have some fun there as we come back. So some finals as we go through here. We will do studs and duds before we get out of here, but we'll get you some final scores as some things all went final there right before while we were at break. The Devils did indeed hold on and beat the Flames 3-2. So New Jersey, despite only getting off 20 shots in the game, the Devils win that one 3-2. Nazem Kadri scored for the Flames. The winning goal went to Hischler, Nico Hischier of the New Jersey Devils. He got the winner. The Islanders came back to win the Battle of New York 4-3. The game-winning goal in that one. As I skipped ahead to the next day, the game-winning goal, Anders Lee scoring the game winner there, 14:30 into the third. That was just a couple of minutes after Brock Nelson had tied the game on the power play. The Islanders, 3 unanswered goals to come back and win that one. Mentioned the Flyers just destroying the Blues 5-1. And of course we mentioned the Knights beating the Leafs. And then in a shootout, the Montreal Canadiens defeating the Detroit Red Wings 3-2 tonight in a shootout. Caulfield and Suzuki scoring in the shootout there for the Canadiens. Still several games still going on, so we might... No, we shouldn't get any more. We might get one more final before we're out of here, depending on how many more stops they have in Buffalo before that one is done, where the Coyotes, my goodness, all over the Sabres, 4-1. Arizona on top of Buffalo right now. What is happening? As they've got 2 minutes to go in that one. But it is time. It's our final segment, and you know how we've started to end the show here this season with studs and duds. It's three players that we were, or it could be teams, it could be anything. 3 positives from the hockey world this week, and also 3 negatives on the week. I'm gonna since it's just me tonight, I want to start with the duds. We'll start off with the duds and then close the show out on a little bit of a high. Starting off in the duds category, we talked about them during the open of the show, the first segment. The Boston Bruins, it's just a huge dud with the signing of Mitchell Miller. Kudos for cutting him a couple of days later, but they as we talked about in the first segment, they just never should have signed the kid in the first place. They should have seen the writing on the wall and known what was up and not signed the kid. So the Boston Bruins organization as a whole gets a dud from me this week. Couple of player duds then for us here in Florida. Matthew Tkachuk, he gets a dud. He got hit with a 2-game suspension for high-sticking Los Angeles Kings goalie Jonathan Quick in a game last week. And it came after the whistle. It was blatant. It was inverted. It was absolutely intentional. Quick had made a stop. Tkachuk then took his stick and tried to poke it into his goalie mask. The mask did the job, but still Quick fell to the ice to recover from it. Tkachuk is not his first time getting into stuff like this, so Matthew Tkachuk getting hit with a 2-game suspension, and he gets my second dud of the week. And then my last dud for this week, we've got another suspension. As Taryn chimes into the chat, I'm not a Kings fan, but do not mess with Jonathan Quick. And then finally, our final dud of the week, another suspension. This is Montreal Canadiens forward Josh Anderson. He's also been suspended for 2 games for boarding Golden Knights defenseman Alex Pietrangelo during a game on Saturday. This was a brutal hit. If you haven't seen it, Anderson comes flying in and Pietrangelo is several feet away from the boards and just sends him straight into the bench. And Pietrangelo darn near gets cut in half by the sideboard there. A brutal hit. So Josh Anderson gets a two-game suspension, obviously without pay, and he gets my final dud of the week. All right, and then our studs for this week on happier notes. Alexander Ovechkin. You knew that one had to be coming. Alexander Ovechkin set the record for most goals in a career with a single franchise. 787 goals, all with the Washington Capitals. He had been tied with the legendary Gordie Howe, but now he sits all alone for most goals by one player with a single team. Congratulations to Alexander Ovechkin. And of course, he's still trailing the great one, but we'll see if he's able to catch that one. We'll see if he's able to catch up to that. Another stud for the week, Connor McDavid, scoring in his 500th career game, all with the Edmonton Oilers. He is just so much fun. He is just, as Zach always talks about, he's one of those guys that just puts on video game numbers with the Edmonton Oilers. Looking at their box score tonight, as they're up 3-2 on the Lightning tonight. And has he scored? We'll take a quick peek in here. Yes, he has a goal and a keeper tonight for the Oilers. So my second stud of the week. And then finally, because he scored the game winner in overtime, and because Kale's going to be talking about him coming up next, Riley Smith is my final stud of the week. The overtime game-winning goal tonight for the Las Vegas Knights. Well, there you go. The horn sounds here on this week's show. Thank you so much for tuning in for this solo edition of the Neutral Zone. I am Adam Karnick. Zach will be back with us next week. Hopefully we'll both be here and then get back to our regularly scheduled silliness. Some quick thank yous before we get out of here tonight. Thank you, of course, to Larry B. All the hard work he does behind the scenes here at IE Sports Radio, getting everything going here at the network. Want to say thank you again to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, MLO's Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous, for all your support. It is appreciated and noticed. Again, go to our website, iesportsradio.com. The Patreon link is right there, or just go to patreon.com and search IE Sports Radio. Starts at just $5 a month. Thank you to Taryn for coming back from vacation, for surviving your cruise, and hanging out in the chat room with me tonight. And of course, thank you to Cale Henderson for hanging out in the chat. I am going to get out of the way so that he can start Sin City Sports right dang now. For IE Sports Radio, I am Adam Karnick. We will see you next week, everybody. Have a good night.